All right, Gemini, thanks for tuning in to your February of 2015 horoscope. My name is Athen. All right, so we've got this month leading out of January, and a lot of emphasis on your 8th house of transformation, of change, beginnings and endings, connecting to things on a very deep emotional level. You know, whether it's your work or your relationships, what have you. But this month there's this transformational energy. I think at the end of January, a lot of you transformed when you had Venus and Mars before that going out of your 8th house and into your 9th house. Now this month we've got the Sun shifting signs from your 8th into your 9th. So really leaving that 8th house sort of behind. But there's still a lot of reflective energy here because Mercury is still going to be there all month, and he goes direct in that 8th house. So there's definitely something to be learned here, something to be reflected on up until the 11th while he's retrograde in terms of it. But still, nonetheless, lots of energy going into your 9th house this month, which is coming out of the 8th, transformation into the 9th of expansion, of adventure, of your life path, of spiritual studies, of anything that expands you physically or mentally or spiritually, which is on a physical level, it's travel and abroad and this sort of adventurous spirit. So lots of emphasis there for you guys, and I think a lot of it's coming out of this transformation from last month. Now let's go ahead and start with the first, because the first aspect of the month, we have Venus going conjunct over Neptune in that 9th house. So with this enjoyment there that you guys were noticing towards the end of January, this is a spiritual sort of process because you've had Neptune in your 9th house for some time, and this is about you guys having this sort of spiritual journey, this spiritual journey on your path, you know, of synchronicity, of going with the flow, letting go of your path and just allowing the universe or God to direct you in a certain direction. So there's this presence there, and with Venus there, it could be perhaps a new relationship involved with that, getting deeper, more spiritual with your existing relationships. Lots of this selfless, sort of compassionate sort of energy that could come from you from those areas. But overall, it's just because you're tapping into that adventurous but spiritual element of yourself. So from the first, around the first, notice that, feel into it, and overall I think just expanding yourself spiritually will be a very good utilization of this energy. Now on the 3rd, we've got the full moon in Cancer, which is your guys' 2nd house. And this is about you know, your overall sense of self-worth. And so the full moon here is indicating that for those of you who've been perhaps reflecting on your sense of self-worth back in January, or working on perhaps increasing some wealth or finances or your values in life, this can be a culmination of that, of being really fully aware of it and on some level seeing the abundance that is taking place for you in that sector. So around the 3rd, reflect on all the abundance that you do have in your life in terms of your values, especially in terms of your sense of self-worth, and that's going to help you really step into this, you know, powerful energy of the full moon for the first half of the month. Now on the 6th, we've got an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter. So last month too, there was needing to balance the 8th house with the 2nd house, making sure that you know, you have this sense of, you know, what's valuable to you, and not so much about giving your power away too in terms of what's valuable to other people, but balancing these two nonetheless, making sure that there's a nice, you know, balance between what's important to you and what's important to others, because the 8th house does rule shared resources, and in some cases it's the bondage that we have in resources such as debt or obligations or these types of things. So we definitely need healthy dependency on others, and that is what this is all about. It's while still having that sense of self-worth, also balancing that with healthy dependency and relying on other people to a certain extent this month, just like it was back in January, balancing what you might call your values with other people's values as well. So very good there, and it can be very optimistic. Just make sure you don't go to one extreme or the other, because with Jupiter, especially with an opposition, it can be kind of overly buoyant, so just make sure that you're nice and grounded with it, balancing this, what's important to you, what's important to others, finding that middle ground, merging those two together. That mutual beneficial energy is very powerful this month. Now on the 8th, we've got Venus going over Chiron, so this is more emphasis now in terms of your guys' life path, 9th house, expansion, adventurous side, spiritual studies, feeling healed from it, you know. So I really recommend for those of you to get involved in, you know, traveling. For those of you that can do that, also involved in anything philosophical or expansive this month, you'll not only find it very enjoyable, but you'll find it very spiritual, like I was saying, around the 1st, but also very healing as well around the 8th. And then we're going to have a new moon in that sector later on the 18th, which could definitely be some new beginnings in that sector for you. But at the lowest sense, in either case, you'll definitely be enjoying it, to say the least. Now on the 11th, like I said, we got Mercury going station direct in that 8th house. So reflect around the 11th in terms of what you learned about transformation, depth, connecting to things on that deep level, beginnings, endings. All of these 8th house matters. Perhaps even in balancing these things and how important it is to, say, remove yourself from bondage to others or to debt. And perhaps how important it is for you to have healthy dependency on others. Whatever this is, reflect on it up and around the 11th in particular, and then he's going to go station direct in that 8th house for the rest of the month, putting it into practice, basically saying, okay, I get it, I understand now these 8th house matters, and now I'm putting it into play and improving that area too. Now on the 12th, we've got Mars going into Pisces, and we've also got the Sun going into Aquarius. So around the 12th, there's definitely a shift happening here. And this is where, what you might say, this transformational energy, really going to start to feel it from that 8th to the 9th house. When the Sun goes into the 9th, that can be very expansive, very, bountiful and adventurous, because that Sun energy is very strongly associated with that 9th house of that spiritual passion too. So that's going to lead you into March. And again, all those 9th house things that I'm recommending, you'll find it not only enjoyable with Venus there, but from the 12th onward, very passionate, very creative as well. It's that vital life force energy and really enjoying what you're doing. Now also, like I said, we got Mars going into Pisces. Now this is your 10th house. So this is where things start to shift for you guys in terms of your work, career, anything you're doing on a sort of public level. And with Mars going into that part of your chart, it's a great time for the second half of the month to put in energy in regards to your career, work, or anything on that public sphere. Very motivational, can unlock a good amount of energy, but it's going with the flow like you guys naturally do. Naturally, with Pisces, the ruler of your 10th, there is this importance of peace and presence in what you're doing on that public or work level. So implementing it in that way and having that sort of spiritual action. But in either case, putting energy in that 10th house, you'll definitely find that very motivating for you. Now on the 15th, we've got Venus going into that Pisces, so this is where the fast-moving planets start to go into that 10th house. Venus there is saying, okay, I can really enjoy my work. Wow, this can be very pleasurable, very enjoyable. And then into March, see how you can really enjoy that part of your chart. Also bring other people into that area of your life as well, with Venus ruling relationships. Could be partnerships into what you're doing on a career level. Could be meeting more people, meeting more clients, whatever it is that involves people in your work or career sector. Very nice there from the 15th onward. Now on the 18th, we have the new moon taking place in Aquarius, like I was saying, in that 9th house, which does have to do with perhaps some new beginnings here. Maybe this is the transformational new beginning. Understanding, something new, maybe a new spiritual path, a new philosophical understanding. Perhaps some of you might be getting involved with anything abroad or university studies. But whatever it is, it's from putting all this energy into that part of your chart, I feel, up until this point. And then around the 8th, it's reflecting on it. See what's new there, cultivating it, just feeling it at first, because the energy is, around the new moon, you want to just reflect on it. But as the month progresses and into March, starting to cultivating it, watering the plant, watering the seed, that kind of thing, putting energy into whatever this 9th house stuff is for you in particular. Now on the 21st and 22nd, we've got Venus going conjunct over Mars in that 9th house. There's this passionate energy here. It's in the 10th house, which is the career and the, whatever you're doing on this sort of public level, which is leading into March. So very good passionate energy here, very good motivation involved with your work again, but I think, again, finding it enjoyable. It's this physical yin and yang, masculine and feminine energy when it's put into this part of your chart and your work and career can be very powerful and can definitely really unlock a lot through an enjoying process, because when we're enjoying what we're doing, that is, where we gain a lot of motivation and a lot of momentum. So it's merging those two elements together for sure. Now on the 25th, we've got the last aspect of the month. We've got the Sun going over Neptune in that 9th house, again connecting to that spiritual sort of energy involved with the expansive elements of life. With the Sun in that 9th house, like I was saying, it's about going with the flow. And this is very strongly emphasized here around the 25th with the Sun. Go with the flow in terms of your overall vital life force energy and self-expression. in that area. And you'll find that, again, very pleasing, very enjoyable, expansive, and transformational. But again, this surrendering process of just releasing how the path is going to unfold, how these long distance matters are going to be, and just let them go. Very strong there around the 25th. All right, Gemini, so let's go and draw a card and see where Spirit would like a little more emphasis for you guys this month. Okay, Scorpio. Interesting, this came up for Aries as well, and I think this is a reminder from Spirit to really talk about the Saturn transit in Scorpio right now at the moment, which is happening in your 6th house. So 6th house Scorpio for you, naturally, it's about having this sort of deep connection to what you're doing, in terms of your health, and having this connection to your body, making sure that you're taking care of your physical environment. This is your body, but also everything around you in the immediate environment as well. Saturn there is making sure that you guys are taking a good disciplined approach here, making sure that you're eating right, taking care of your body, your spiritual, mental, physical health, and your routine, making sure everything's nice and structured here. So perhaps this is a reminder to stay nice and grounded in terms of your self-improvement this month, and connect to your body as you normally do on that spiritual level, and do whatever changes and transformations are necessary for you to make sure that you continue to improve your overall health and well-being with Saturn in that 6th house. All right, Gemini, well, I hope you guys have a great month. I want to thank you all for all of your support. If you'd like to share the message of Sidereal Astrology, please like. You can also share this on Facebook. Comment below. Be very helpful in terms of your experiences, perhaps back in January. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also check out my daily, weekly, and yearly horoscopes. And I hope you guys have a great month. Thanks for watching.